Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Devin and I are doing our discussion 2.0 for the Gambler's Chest for KDM.
Have that upside down.
Do I?
Yes.
Dang it. You can never tell. Here, hold the prints.
Okay.
Alright. Now I see it. Now I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
Got it. Boom. Nailed it.
There it is.
For the Gambler's
Chest.
Yeah. So we have finished the campaign. We actually finished it a while back at Devin's, which is where we did the original discussion. But now we're at my place, so that's why we don't have it set up. So basically, this is going to be our overall thoughts now on the Gambler's Chest, how the campaign goes, the new bosses that we didn't talk about last time, which was the Gambler, and the hand, like the
God hand. Yeah.
And was that it? Were those like the two that we hadn't?
Those were the two big dogs.
The two ones that we hadn't.
Yeah. The big dogs of the campaign. Finale in the core.
Yes. Ultimately, I had a blast.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was still as much fun. Like, it basically, the Gambler's Chest stuff completely flipped my feelings on KDM. And throughout the entire campaign, it basically stayed that way. Now, I might have a biased outlook because our campaign was so lopsided.
So busted.
It was so...
How we found everything broken and busted it further.
And, I mean, it got to a point because, to be completely honest, because for some reason this campaign does what the Lantern campaign does, where you fight like the Gambler or the Watcher, and then you have like 5 Lantern years of nothing, and then it's like, okay, now do the final boss.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple Nemesis in that area. But yeah, there's definitely some dead space in between the core and your finale nemesis.
Yeah, and it's like, I know why that's there, because it's like, if your campaign isn't going well, then it's like, you have a few extra years to try and get, ready for that final fight. In our case, we literally skipped those 5 years, or whatever. There was no point. There was no matchup that could have happened that our characters weren't gonna glass them. Which can be super fun, but at the same time, it's like, well, it's kind of boring at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you get to that point because, like I said, like my Dragon King campaign was the same way.
Yeah.
It's like, we are so broken that I'm like, we do the hunts just to get the stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe we get a few more buffs to become even more powerful.
Yeah, or it's like, or the hunts just randomly kill you.
And that is very much a threat.
And I think that's why it's like, well, that could have happened. It's like, that's true.
But we also could have just, at that time, we could just benched our 4.
Oh,
and just die with a whole new crew just to fuck around and waste time.
That's true.
But our 4 were absolutely, well, I shouldn't say our 4, his 2. We're just a fucking demon cannon.
And it all just revolves around Dark Impulse.
Yeah, that is definitely a very broken power.
Yeah.
I will, if I got it again, I don't know, because I know just how much it'll melt the campaign.
It really does.
I was telling Ethan about it. I was like, you come in, it's a bitch to get it going, but once it's there, you could just say, like, because, in our campaign, a newborn survivor comes in with 3 strength, 2 evasion, we're completely off topic, and then, 1 accuracy. So you come with 3 newbies and your Dark Impulse, finish the hunt, and at the last turn, he eats all 3 of them. So now he has, what was it? So that'd be 9 strength, 3 more accuracy, and a total of 6 evasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just from 1 hunt, him eating 3 newbies.
Exactly. And we didn't even do that. Like, we went in, because I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's even a more disgusting way to game the system. We did it in a way that it's like, we built up a character until they were almost ready about to retire.
And then he would eat them.
And then we'd bring them in with nothing. He'd have their kit or a new kit that we wanted him to have, and then he'd eat them. And what we would
still snowballed into this luck beast.
I have 15 strength, 8 luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 evasion, 5 accuracy, and it's like
So our campaign went well.
it went super
very
well. But and all that's to say is the Gambler's Chest, from start to finish, basically gave you the resources to get off the ground running. Mm-hmm. And to me, that makes it so much more enjoyable.
A lot of the slow phases in like the original campaigns, weren't there.
Yeah.
I like that it really got, I almost felt like we were getting more resources.
Yeah.
And then the clothed and sated, the mixed armor set.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Just having access to that, and then just cranked us up, prepped for level 2s in no time.
Right.
Which I really like. That got us out of level 1, so then you're seeing the monsters more fleshed out and almost a lot sooner.
You hop to level 3
Yeah,
earlier.
and it's like now it's like level 3s. They did a lot better with those because like before, we avoided level 3s.
Right.
I mean, at least I did in my campaigns because I'm like, I'm not getting paid enough to go after this. I get plenty from level 2s, why risk
That's
it?
true. Yeah, we can't hit that toughness.
Yes, but now with the Indomitable system, with the Scout Discovery system, just you get a lot of benefits for going after these level 3s now.
Yeah,
and it's like once you hunt your first level 3, it's like going after more subsequent level 3s isn't as intimidating,
right?
And it becomes more more interesting. It's a lot more fun. You start getting to that level, and I like that they've kind of allowed that sort of scheduled power creep, I guess. So it's like now it's easier to get to level 3. So it's like, okay, now we can release more powerful quarries such as the King and whatnot. And it's like, oh shit, now we really gotta buckle down.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, still by the end of it, like Atnus, we never got to see. I never got to see it pop off because every time he showed up, it was like we just happened to have a hard.
It sounds
time.
like he's more of a mid nemesis.
Really?
It sounds like he's kind of a weaker nemesis.
Okay.
It sounds like the way he's kind of shaping. I was really hoping he'd be a fucking monster.
Yeah, but he's just a saddled man.
He really is. It's like you get rid of his moods and you just start kicking him and he just keeps crying and he doesn't stop crying until he's dead.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? That's exactly it.
Butcher's still great.
Yeah, I mean, and so, the crocodile to the end was still great, but that's the problem that, again, KDM kind of has that is very polarizing, is you can have the game go in the way ours went, where it's just so easy that it's like, well, because every time you'd be like setting it up, it's like, what do we want to hunt? I'm like, I don't care, dude.
As long as it's not a Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm like, as long as it's not Phoenix, because that's clearly not balanced. And it's not fun. It's not like it's super hard and it's not fun. So it's like, well, I don't want to risk those characters because that's just not worth it because they're just going to get DH'd and die immediately. So it's like, okay, well, we have a couple options, and it's going to be so easy, and I don't even care about the resources, because we happen to have our builds. Like, literally, it kind of swapped from being Whippy Bobby, where it's like the Whip was he was like the broken character, to the Dark Impulse Murderer character, who was like, what was he? He's like, he couldn't have armor because he had bone. Like, yeah. But no, we got him like that lantern armor. We eventually got him geeked out, but at the beginning, he was just some naked murderer with a butcher's cleaver.
Yeah.
That's just like, and my innate powers, my innate attributes make me so gross. That's like, well, I don't really have any desire to build out a kit because this is working. I think your characters are ones that you were swapping stuff in and out, but even then you kind of got into a system that you didn't ever change them.
Right. See here, when we got the Wrath sword, so it's like, why not use anything else?
Like giving them tokens, and it's like, I crit, now I get to turn all those tokens into wounds.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And those are cool. Like, the pattern cards are awesome.
Yes.
Like, getting those are just super neat.
Having a method to construct outside of, like, a proper location, so...
And every time I saw those, I was like, Like, so there's a ton more options. It's just that our campaign happened to go a certain way that there was no reason to ever spec out. But in future games, which comes up to the Gambler, future games, the campaigns actually are way more interesting. So it's called the Gambler's Chest, which the Gambler,
yes, is God. Is a God style character for sure.
1,000,000%. The Gambler is it's so meta that I don't know how I feel about it.
He was
right? That's
He was certainly that.
Like, so the Gambler, the way he fights and his whole shtick is he's a player.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, it's having you. It's like he's actually physically existing on your board, and then in your universe, you're actually like feeling like your game pieces.
You're
Like,
playing the
so your
game.
characters are feeling like they're game pieces.
Yeah.
And then if he like physically you moved it, there's an ability where if you just move him over one of the dice on the table,
Yeah.
he gets another dice towards his attack.
Yeah, he has like his own unique dice.
Yeah.
Because you can't crit him. Because he doesn't allow crits.
Yeah, and you can steal. You have to steal his crit dice.
I know what he is. He's and Adam might be a huge fan. He's Sun Jin Woo from Solo Leveling. He's just like, actually, I think I'm going to completely control the game because I'm a player. I'm not an NPC. That's just how it feels.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, his own unique dice. He has 1,000,000 crits. The only way to wound him or crit him is using his own dice that you have to steal. Like you have to take those dice from him to add to your dice.
But you get someone with wrath to steal his dice.
Right.
That's how you instant kill him. Because that would be 1,000 wounds.
Yeah.
Because all of his luck is tokens.
Oh, that's right. But it says he can never be critted no matter what.
Unless with his dice. Exclusively with his dice. So that is the only way.
I guess, but it's weird because like the rules are just so
The rules were a little wibbly
they're
wobbly
contradictory
in that one because it was
Yeah.
a little difficult to figure out.
Yeah, because there was also stuff where it's like, oh, if the dice fall off the table, like something.
Yeah,
happens.
he gets
He
them.
gets them. Yeah, because like he would take.
A lot of meta stuff.
Yeah, and it's like, well, we have a gaming table, so that's never happening.
Yeah.
Also, we have dice trays, so we're never gonna
Roll on board.
roll on the board.
And the board was 3D printed, so
Yeah, I feel like his whole shtick is good in theory. I didn't really like him as a fight.
yeah, it's like building up for that whole campaign. It's like I don't know. I guess I wanted a little more meat, but it's like again, it's like what did we expect? He's called the Gambler,
Right.
And he's been kind of our god this whole time.
Yeah, he's his whole shtick is prepping these survivors, these arc survivors.
I think you would have really liked the Dragon King campaign.
Really?
Because it's very similar to that, like kind of building us up.
Well-
because every nemesis is, he's fighting you and kind of praising you when you
Gotcha.
do well. But anyway.
Thanks, Dad. And I'm like weeping. I never knew my father. Well, I mean, with the campaigns of death stuff that's coming, it'll
Yes.
balance all that out.
I'm
Like,
hoping so.
and then I can be like, yay, because you no longer have to twist my arm to play KDM, because I really love the system. Like, this is most likely going to be my expansion of the year.
Yeah. No, this is
But
awesome.
but the theme of the Gambler, like he literally has like a thing. I think it was at the final when you beat him. That's like he gives you a chest that you can pop cards into.
Yeah, when you defeat... So essentially the whole theme was... so before we fought the Gambler, we had like 5 years where we're building the dream.
Yeah.
And that we're putting together another Gambler's chest.
Yeah,
Because when we started our campaign, we were found
Yeah.
as a bunch of survivors in a box by the crocodile.
Which you were literally found in the box
Yes.
to fight the crocodile.
Yes. And then, so you build another box, and then you could pile all this excess gear that you weren't using in. And so the next campaign you start with, you just get all that gear.
Start with all that gear.
Just like, well, we're busted.
Yeah. Which again, we haven't played another campaigns and we didn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we had a stack of stuff. So it's like, is that going to be fun? Is that good in theory? Because
I mean,
it's
if
like,
the God Hand fucking melts you, maybe.
that is true. Yeah. Maybe, maybe that's what it was.
Because he
meant.
very much had the potential to do that.
He did if he wasn't the little bitch hand in our campaign. If the god wasn't Whippy Bobby and Jack the Ripper and our murderer. Yeah, God's like, oh jeez. Like he's calling up the gamblers like, what the fuck did you make? Yeah, it's like he cuts us down and he's like walks away, then music starts up in Latin, my guy stands back
Here's
up.
my word! Call me there! Puts his head back on. No, there's like a centipede that just draws it in.
That was our campaign.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe where it's like, okay, now our next campaign we start off more like you're pretty much setting up for the God Hand, but then again it's like, well, now we have to do a whole 30 more lantern years of being busted with this gear that we way that we got by Lantern Year 20 in our original one. Now we just have it.
Yeah.
Again, the Gambler is so cool in theory. Like, my whole meta knowledge now is KDM is... Oh, no, we fought the King as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was actually the only fight that I was like, damn, we might actually...
He was fucking nasty.
He was.
dude.
Now he had a thing about him that I absolutely despise. That's just part of core KDM, but we'll get there. My whole theory now with the Gambler is everything is a game. It's like, it is a board game. It's like, well, obviously it's a board game, but it has theme. No, the theme is the board game. Like, you're meta playing a board game, which is wild. It's so cool. Like, I love the Gambler's theme and his whole shtick. I just don't think mechanically he worked. But still, kind of a cool mid-boss fight, because whenever you beat him, you don't kill him.
Right.
He's just like, all right. He's like, you guys got it.
Yeah. Like, oh.
It's almost like...
You're good, so I can leave
like,
now.
It's like banking a good RPG character you made. You're like, that was a good build.
Yeah.
And then you set them aside, and then you start the new game. And then you walk away, because the Gambler is you. We're the Gambler.
We're the
The Gambler is us.
Like, you're ready to progress.
Yeah. So then we go to the King. Now the King was super fucking cool, except for his entrance. His entrance is literally...
It was a little bit of a gotcha.
Yeah. And it actually made me salty, because I was like, Adam, I thought we were past this. I thought you grew. There's no more of this turn the card or turn the page and get your best character just killed. I find that so cheap. And it was like, damn.
Man, and that one was just exclusively, it was like, your most statistically impressive character dies.
Just dies.
Nothing you can do to avoid this.
Yeah.
Just...
Didn't it say yet? Although, technically, there is a way to avoid it when you have your scout wear the mask? It's like the decoy mask.
The disguise kit, maybe?
Yeah, where it's like, haha! You thought that you were killing him, but it was actually our scout. But that's just so obnoxious to include for no reason. No thematic reason, no nothing. He just shows up and it's like, yeah, I guess I killed him. I guess, to me, it almost feels like he knew about Dark Impulse and was like, okay, now in the late game, I'm going to squash that.
Just squash it, yeah.
But
as I was saying, you could rebuild one in no time.
I guess that's true.
I mean, I guess stacking the luck would be a little more difficult, but all the other stats you could stack in no time. You could get all the evasion, strength, and accuracy you wanted.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, luck is something that is just put in this game that makes it trivial. Like,
for the honest,
it really is. Like,
going luck, there's really no better way to go about it.
Like the Gambler again.
But he was, exactly.
But yeah, when you're, because if that character died, it's like, okay, shit, we lost our luck build. Like, yeah, that would have made still the fights having all those busted stats still make those final fights more difficult.
Because so speaking of like a luck build, touching on like me and Ethan's campaign, then we were fighting the Black Knight, and I remember how we were just like smoking everything just in a few turns, and they just barely got any like bounce back. But it's like not getting those crits that negate those reactions. Yeah, those reactions are so mean.
They are,
and it's like, oh, that's where the monster was this whole time, in those hit reactions. Because I'm just like, oh fuck.
Which is again kind of like, I'm trying to think, because now with Aeon Trespass being out, there's nothing about luck.
Yeah.
Like in that game.
And I can understand that.
Right.
Because it is a very powerful mechanic.
But the King, well, again, funny enough, he was cool in theme, but he became trivial as well. Because it was like, we knocked his head off, and then he like gets knocked down, then you run up and beat the shit out of him, and then his entire next turn is running to get his head, and then it's like, oh shit, did it again. He's like, I got it, knocked it off again, and it's like, but what we did was...
broke all of his void fabrics.
Yes. Which we thought was going to make him even more weak, and it did not. We're like, but he had this whole thing of like actually pulling us into KDM, Kingdom Death. Which we didn't really get to explore all that much, but that's
because it was a reaction, and we always crit, so it was never a reaction.
but there was like actual areas in there that if you're in there, you just take a shit ton of damage. But you have to like wander through KDM. But there's areas you can go to find weapons, and there's a bunch of really badass weapons in there. But again, feels meta. So, yeah, I forgot because I remember the theme of the king, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I remember him being difficult, and then I was like, wait a minute, he got to go once because he got critted, he got knocked, his head knocked off. We surge and beat the shit out of him. He stands up. It's his turn again. He runs to go get his head, and then rinse and repeat, and now it's like, oh, okay, well, we killed him.
Yeah.
Great. I think it was at that point. Because on the Corys, I get at some point the Corys don't do anything for you, but the Nemesis are always like, finally, they're going to do something. And it was like at that point that I was like, nothing's going to be a challenge. Which is like, all right, I guess we'll go fight.
I mean, yeah, when you're like sitting at, luck breaks the game for the most part. It definitely needs a little more crit punish.
What if you either crit punish or what if you house ruled it to where you had a luck cap?
Maybe
like a luck cap of 2, 3, maybe not where you're 50. Because like literally,
I mean, it's
I crit it. Like by the end of our campaign, I just didn't have to roll a 1.
Right.
So it's like that's okay. Just say you crit at that point because whatever. But it's like if you capped it at 2.
I mean, so KDM has a lot of lethality, and a lot of it in randomness, in just monster effects. A lot of the new monsters have ways of just of hurting you past your build, past your armor.
Right.
Like, say, you can get bled more from certain monsters. You could, there's insane things, insanity causes you death.
Yeah.
What else? Like, in the Phoenix with age. So there are avenues around, like, being like an armored tank character.
But there's also
but I'm like, so like in like your settlement, the engine that is your settlement, and the generating survivors that you're creating. Luck is a hard thing to harvest to put onto a survivor, short of like an aged existence of like finding these particular gear or particular events to even build that stat. So I think that's kind of what they were shooting for in a way. Is like, you might have a very powerful character, yes, incredible with luck, but anything can knock them down. Like the King's Event, done.
That's true.
But then it's like, so yes, a luck character is very powerful, but it's like getting them back is very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point. I mean, and I guess that's the great thing about this game is there are like all the things that you said that could instant kill a character. There are counters to that. It's like there's ways where you just have extra bleed capability. Or you become ageless. So it's like I can't die from I'm immortal. Or Kat's character in our Lantern campaign where it's like just all damage goes to insanity, unlimited insanity, so she just can't ever take damage.
So it's like, I guess my biggest, just my overall KDM criticism, I guess, is like they tell you that survivors are a resource, but goddamn, if you just don't get attached to them, and then of course they're going to get powerful, and then man, if there isn't a game that makes you want to cheat more than KDM, it's KDM.
That is very
This
true.
game makes you want to cheat so much. It's like, could I just not have rolled a 1 there?
Yeah.
Could I just not have?
That is so very true. Because it's so crippling, especially with how long you go into that. If you lose your best character, that it's like there's
that's still there. I mean, it feels a little better. The knowledge system helps that significantly.
1,000,000%.
So it's like, okay, we've already leveled it up. I get that. It continues on.
That's why the King's event was so cheap. Like I expected this from early KDM. Like I thought you did better with Gambler's Chest. So why is this still here? Like every time a character dies, like I felt like this was our fault. Or if it died, it's like, okay, well, it's easy to build a character back up. Honestly, I think instead of maybe not doing a luck cap, remove Death Mask. We got that.
The Death Mask was broken.
We got that.
I was like, oh shit.
We got that. What, Lantern Year 1?
It was pretty early.
Like, it was definitely within the first 5 Lantern Years that Whippy Bobby got.
I was like, I spread them out, and you picked this fucking Death Mask.
Alright, cool.
Like, I got that on my solo campaign, and it was just butter from there.
So it's like, because none of the other masters are.
It's like, one, you're critting the monster nonstop, so you're swimming in resources. early, and it's just breeze from there.
Right, and because it's not what is it, where they have to stay on that character?
It's not cursed.
It's not cursed.
So
yeah.
the downside was no affinities, and essentially if you ever suffer a severe injury and you roll on the table, it's like -4 or something.
Exactly.
So it's like you're gonna die.
You're gonna die, but it's like, okay, well, I mean, it's
and now with the systemic pressure as well, more likely to die.
True. So I mean, yeah. So that was the king. Really cool thematically. Again, in our campaign, we were so gross, we never got to see them at their full potential. Then we get to the God Hand. Again, super trivial.
I really liked his build up. He was very they made him really feel powerful.
He is.
I felt like, I feel like we definitely had a unique situation.
Yes.
But I feel like he was a boss designed to fight a whole settlement.
Yes.
Like, you were meant to use the embolden action, where it's like, the whole settlement is going after this guy.
Yes.
And it's like you're cycling in, you're throwing just bodies at him until he goes down.
Yo, that is exactly it. Like, his whole thing is like, you send out your 4 people, and if they go down, then you bring in like just characters. Your whole population is fighting him, in the off chance that you're trying to beat him until your population is wiped. Again, so cool thematically, but our 4 characters just didn't. It's like, you know what, guys?
We didn't need to. But I'm just saying, like, I'm thinking that's how my other campaign's gonna end up going. Like.
And I'm so glad you're going through another campaign where it's not broken like this, because it's like, oh man, I want to know how these fights go.
Yeah.
We are not in a situation that calls for just like, let's just wrap this up. Because to be fair, we wouldn't have finished the campaign that same day. But I'm like, I don't want to play 5 games of nothing. There's no point.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the God Hand is, I mean, he has literally an ability where he just like swipes past you and just cuts your head off and you're dead.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Repeat. And it was the life system, so this card isn't going anywhere.
Right.
So his whole action for every turn was just, I'm gonna kill a guy. Just move through somebody, chop their head off, put the sword out, wait for the next one.
And it's like, oh yeah, you're right. Because he had more cards. But because we happened to draw that one pretty early on, it's just like, well, that's just what he's doing.
Just instant kills, yep. Let's see here. I thought was really cool. I feel like in the Gambler's Chest, they took strides to benefit speed, to make speed builds more viable.
Yeah.
Because, like, yes, before it's like, okay, speed is rough, and that, like, there's a sweet spot with speed. It's like 3 and 4. And then more than that is like almost a hindrance.
You're
going to step on the trap, which is still there.
Yeah.
But with the God Hand in particular, with his Godspeed feature, it was like hitting him more times. So you got more actions before his Godspeed abilities.
Right.
If one of his hit locations had Godspeed on it and he had this many left, this is going to go off and he's going to interrupt you.
That's true.
Which was really cool. So I like to see that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the Gambler's Chest ultimately did, was took major issues with the first one, kind of rebalance it all. Because it's like, well, clearly there's a meta. How do you correct the meta? It's like, I want to do a speed build because I want Katars to be super cool, and that seems like badass, but it's never going to work because I hit 8 times. I hope I don't draw the trap, because otherwise I basically am dying. And I like that. Like, it's clear that there was a maturity from OG KDM to Gambler's Chest, and even more so with what's predicted to be coming out with Campaigns of Death, that like, the Gambler's Chest obviously made everything. I know people disagreed with the statement in the original discussion, but I think it made the OG stuff obsolete.
I mean, it definitely, I guess the goal here was to create, certain interchangeable pillars within the game. So to create that modularity within the system, which is a very, what's the word, popular, theme in board gaming, which I think they're taking the right direction, like business side, doing that. But it just, it added all these new systems that you can take and remove, and they just put them all in the Gambler's Chest. One of them being Arc Survivors, which is, the cream of the crop, where you now have a leveling fighting art system, essentially. That it can be, leveled up, and it continues. And
there were so much of those that we didn't even see.
Right.
Like, get all the way maxed out. And, that knowledge system is so cool that you get to meticulously actually craft your build. because you get to see. I mean, you get to see pretty much a lot every time you return, and it's like, ooh, that'll be really good with this. Versus just getting random fighting arts that you're like, this is useless.
Right.
Like,
it's just random. Like, oh, that's cool. I'm not going to use this.
Yeah,
fighting
this
art.
is good for Fist and Tooth. I'm not. I'm a sword master, and I'm never going to use this.
Yeah, they have their philosophy that gives them a tenet, and that kind of gives you the direction that they're going to go.
Yeah.
But then you have like 2 more knowledge slots. It's like, okay, we can do, what else can we do with these slots?
And some of them suck hard ass, where it's like, hey, every nat 10 you roll as a 1.
Right.
It's like, this better be good.
Yeah, and it's like, and it levels up. So sometimes they're just bad to level it up to the next portion, which is really cool. It's like an extra layer. It's like, okay, something extra to do than just, fight the monster. It's like, okay, how do I get myself to use this to level these up?
Right. And yeah, and that allows for even further replayability, where it's like, okay, in this campaign, I never really maxed this out. I'm going to try and do that this campaign. Like, I'm very curious on what the one, I can't remember what it was that didn't let you get Lantern 10s.
Oh, that was his,
Was it Fingernail Door?
Fingernail Door.
Okay.
Yeah.
That it's like, man, that better be worth something by the time it's maxed out. Like, it's like, to me, it's like, suffering through that almost feels like the final thing should be every nat 1 turns into a Lantern 10.
Yeah,
like, inverse
like
the
that.
ability, which would be so cool that you suffer for so long, but it's worth it at the end. It'd be super shitty if it was like, nope, it's even worse as it levels up. It's like, okay, I'm never picking that.
Yeah, there was an interesting one that I'll spoil for you a little bit, but in like in Meet Ethan's, there's this one philosophy called Deadism that we didn't have in our campaign.
Okay.
And it's tenet. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember. There's a knowledge that you get called Evermore, and once you get it, it's essentially like, oh, I'm not really alive. I'm already dead.
Okay.
So essentially, then every time your character would die, you essentially have a 50% chance to just inexplicably
Just
survive.
die? Oh.
Yeah, and just every time you inexplicably survived, you'd get a tick.
Okay.
And so Ethan had this character that was doing well, and he just somehow kept. And we had once per lifetime reroll, so if he did fail, we could spend one from the scout, and he'd still survive.
Yeah.
So the odds were in our favor that he would survive. So he kept doing that and did it all 3 times till it leveled up.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, the afterlife's worse. and now you could like spend an action to essentially just like have a seizure. so it's like you didn't have that powerful ability anymore.
You have an existential crisis.
Yeah, give yourself a brain trauma. I think it was spend an action to take
God.
a brain trauma.
That's insane.
So
That's so funny.
it was just cool. And then it was like, it was powerful in its 2nd level, but its 3rd level was like, okay, you
really
used all the
bad.
ability.
Yeah, and that to me feels worth it. Where it's like, I had this really good ability for so long that it automatically ties into, okay, now I'm having a meltdown every time I go out. And that's where the Dark Impulse was supposed to be, where it's like, every time you killed, which you were constantly killing, the settlement would turn on you. But it's like,
Yeah, it was...
or it was homicidalism.
Yes.
That would cause them to turn on you, but it's like, okay, well, if you can get Dark Impulse without that, then it's like, well, you're never going to be targeted.
It was broken, because it's like you have because it's the kill count mechanic with a proper homicidalist.
Yeah.
And every time you kill somebody, the number goes up. You have to roll over it, and if you rolled under, the settlement just kills you.
Yes.
And so, of course, if you're just eating babies like crazy, and then you have like 100 stats, they're eventually like,
that guy's terrifying. We need to take care of him. Yeah, mob justice.
Yes.
But if that doesn't happen, then
But if they just know it as an extra knowledge, busted.
Yeah.
Overpowered. Just get to eat people freely.
Right.
No damage.
So overall, like, the Gambler's Chest is phenomenal. It's so good. I want more.
Yeah, I'm definitely all the new. I mean, I know we really went into detail on the systems in the previous video.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. 100%. So this was more of just kind of like how our overall campaign.
Yeah, how it felt.
If it tanked, you know, and
We lost.
It's
like,
not-
no, we won with flying colors.
Yeah, like the system of fucking God Hand just didn't work. None of the 3 new characters ever really worked because of just our build was so gross, and that's just KDM. That's you get those really low lows and really high highs, and very rarely do you have a balanced experience, honestly.
But that in itself is its own uniqueness. I'm just saying, with the last few boss battlers, with Aeon's Trespass, with Primal and whatnot,
Primal, Oath
they
Form.
all get a little more, they're hitting even, it's balanced, even experience, but it also kind of removes a little bit of the personality that you could be adding to the creatures.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Like,
So, but this still teaming with the personality.
like when I'm telling people stories of like board gaming, like experiences. I'm talking about KDM. I'm not talking about ATO.
Yeah.
Or I'm talking about. I mean, Oathsworn has like the story.
Oathsworn
is perfection, but with it's like you have just more fun or more creativity with KDM. Like I don't get to make a Whippy Bobby character in Aeon Trespass. And you're relying heavily on the story of Aeon Trespass. That it feels. I mean, I would still say Aeon Trespass is way more of an epic, especially in scope and everything.
Yeah.
That it's like, okay, this is the curated experience that they're wanting me to have, whereas KDM is the experience you are making. Whatever's being thrown at you. And the Gambler's Chest no longer feels like fuck you anymore. Like,
they did add a lot to mitigate some of it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the scout abilities.
Yes.
Which was, I really liked.
Yeah. How's your scout working in your other campaign? Because again, I think that's the weakest point of the entire Gambler's Chest.
Scout system's a little wacky. You forget about them a lot.
Yeah.
Like during the hunt, like, oh, there's a fifth character we need to roll for their hunt event. And then it's like, you start the showdown, it's like, oh shit, we forgot to put the scout on the board.
Yeah, I almost feel like he shouldn't be considered a survivor because, it becomes a fifth person that you have to roll for or that you have to pull a card for.
It's like they are beneficial at times because it's like, okay, so now that I'm understanding it better, so, when they're on the board, they can take actions, they can spend survival, they can encourage, fist pump, all that stuff. So, beneficial. Right. But vulnerable, they have no armor.
Yeah.
As soon as they're touched, they just break like a porcelain doll.
Yeah, I think we had someone. He was either I think the crocodile rolled over and just killed him. Yeah. Like he was hiding and just.
Yep. It's like if they're hidden as their terrain piece, if it gets where they get broken out of it by the monster moving through it, it's an instant severe injury.
Yeah. So he just died, and it's like, okay, hopefully now we don't get wiped. Okay. I think I'm good. I think I'm... What is that?
Let's see. I know we used a lot of the actual mechanics because we used the vermin belly boots, the cloak with the... what else did we have for him? The lantern. So let's get the 2 settlement events.
Oh, yeah.
We went more resource gathering so he has the bug trap with the scavenger kit. So it's like he generates a bug spot on the board and makes it to where we get an extra resource at the end.
Okay.
But not so much with the mitigation.
I know there's some events that now tie to him where it's like he gets so shit, like he's...
Oh, we turned him into an off tank. So you remember the steel shield?
No.
Well, so there's a random event that can give you the steel shield.
Okay.
And the essentially the shield is spend this much survival, ignore this many hits.
Oh. Okay.
So, but it reduces your speed to by 3, or no, by 2, and then with the backpack, it was speed -4, so you have to move 1 spot.
Okay.
But if the monster ever targeted the scout for any reason, they could just tank the whole hit using because we had a shit ton of survival.
Yeah.
So they were like an off tank for certain situations, which is kind of cool.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is the scout I feel like could have that kind of potential if you had ways for him to take priority tokens, so he can kind of distract the creature and then have it follow him, and then tank. So then it opens up that's really cool. And I guess the way we just utilized the scout just wasn't. I guess it was a way to use him, but I was like, man, who the fuck is this guy? It's this loser. It's like the little brother that has to tag along because mom said so. But I know we had an event that he got so scared that we had to swap gear with someone. Someone else had to be this, and it's like, fuck this guy. Can we just kill him?
Right.
or the event we had where we took one step out of the settlement, and it's like, no, we're not gonna make it. I'm hungry. And
you ate all the food. Just kills them.
And you get those experiences in KDM. Gambler's Chest is no different. So
that's one I won't forget. The first space on the hunt board just kills the guy. just chokes him out. He ate all the food, guys. He ate all the food.
He has sort of precedent, no tolerance policy. It's like, look, we can see the settlement. It's right there.
Is Whippy making you guys uncomfortable? He's making me I'm feeling a little unsafe.
Shut the fuck up, you'll hear. Just hear the whip cracking as he's walking. What was that? God, I don't like him.
Sounds like you would get whipped.
It's like he lives up to the name of his dad. He doesn't really do anything because that was great. Whippy Bobby's first ever action as my meme character, just grabbed the fucking crocodile's heart and killed him.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the legacy of Whippy Bobby. And then he was overshadowed by the hunter or by the murderer. It was great, and you had characters. I had characters. I don't remember what they.
Mostly murder fodder. Because every time you get like, oh, it kills the person with the most understanding. Oh, look, star-crossed superstar, this prodigy that I just like, oh, maybe I'll finally get to play. Dies!
It was always your character. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, it was great. It was fun. I mean, by the end, I was ready for it to be over, but that's not really a gambler's chess problem. I think that's almost any campaign game. I mean, I'm slightly feeling that with ATO. It's like I'm ready for Cycle 1 to be done.
After when we beat
the Tremnos. Yeah.
Nimnos, yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
all right.
At that point, I was like, oh, that feels like that should have been kind of it.
Right.
And I'm kind of curious. I'll be pissed if like he would have been that strength of the final boss if we had beat him.
If
it would just be like a base level Temnos.
Yeah, you talk about like if the final boss is basically what we already beat.
What we'd been fighting.
Yeah.
If we hadn't have beaten him.
Yeah.
That one time, which made him more powerful.
That's true. Yeah. Now he's level 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, it's any campaign. I'm almost like, okay, I'm glad we're finally done. I'm ready to jump into something else. Which is a board game problem because they take so much longer to finish. Like video games, it's like, man, I don't want to finish it. Like I'm almost done with Black Myth Wukong, and I'm like, man, like I'm having so much fun with this game. I don't want it to be over. But board games, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad. So, Gambler's Chess is amazing. It ended with a bang. Kate, I mean, again, my only negative, which I don't even know if you have any negatives on the Gambler's Chess stuff, is that gotcha with the king. Which again is just so much easy because again, KDM makes you want to cheat. That it's like that didn't happen.
Yeah,
I'm blatantly ignoring that because that's fucking bullshit. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's still survivors are a resource, but you still get attached to them, so they still die.
Yeah, yes, exactly. But they're less. I feel like they're less of a resource. I feel like you can actually look at characters now as kind of a build,
right?
Versus
there's a lot more mitigation in it. Baked in this time around.
They get to live a little bit longer, and you get to kind of craft them in a way that you want. But if they die, it still sucks, but it's not like you don't start from, zero, like in your OG stuff. It's like, okay, well, our characters kind of already started off a little bit better, and we still have this good gear, so put him on him. He's still relevant. You bring in the new guy, and he's still relevant in a level 2 fight. And it's like, okay, well, that murderer died, so now, you know what? I'll try this bleed build.
Yeah.
Or we have that new pattern that we just got from the Black Knights thing or whatever. Let's try and make that weapon work. So there's so much more creativity. I think. Don't you have a gun? Or is that promos?
Those are promos.
Okay. But you could be like,
just the Twilight revolver. Just like I'm just gonna house rule next time I get the Twilight sword. It's gonna be the revolver. Here, the Twilight piece.
Yeah, so you get to take those and be like, okay, and you're not starting from zero, which makes the game more fun. It's more fun, and that's just, I don't want to play hard games anymore. I just want to play fun games. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you giving Gambler's Chess?
0.
I sold myself.
Yeah, so I think this whole room dedicated. God. I mean, I still love it. It's only helped the game. Again, it's been my classic 10 game. I mean, it's my lifestyle game.
It is.
It is, I buy all the stuff. I have everything.
It was weird how, because whenever we talked to Adam at Gen Con this past year, it was weird how you were, openly weeping.
Just crying, kissing his feet.
Yeah.
It's like, he was like, could you stop?
I'm like, Devin, you're embarrassing me. You're like, no, I have to kiss the feet of God.
I was just, it was so funny when the guy who showed us the tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, that's his goon. That's it's the guy he sends over.
Yeah, he does this signal.
When it's like, when he's talking with fans too much,
right.
It's like, here's the distraction. He's like, hey, could you distract these guys while I fucking mail?
Hey, look at my tattoo. And we're like, yeah, man. And we see Adam
he came back
behind the shadows.
More, but that was funny. But yeah, it's my 10 out of 10. My lifestyle game. This has only enhanced it. This is.
I mean, I'm in agreement. Like, it's a 10. Like, it was so much fun that Like, and even whenever we skipped those 5 Lantern years and went to like the last fight, if we had lost, I'd be like, well, I guess we only have ourselves to blame. We skipped 5 years.
Yeah.
That could have been used to be better, but again, I feel like it's why the Gambler's like, hey, you're seeding the next campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of like a roguelite in that, where it's like, hey, here's some permanent upgrades you have for your next fight, because the God Hand is probably
That's
meant
true.
to
That's a good way to
revive
look
you.
at it. Yeah.
That it's like, okay.
Yeah, because like I can see that he was a fucking. If we weren't so powerful, that would have been something to deal with.
And again, it's easy. We were only so powerful like that. It's so easy to tweak that. Okay, just remove the death mask.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of gonna steamroll into your broken build,
right.
Or luck cap it.
Yeah.
Like just play with it. Where it's like, you know what? Let's try luck cap of 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Slightly higher than a 50-50 chance, but it's like you have a still high chance of critting, but you're not guaranteed a crit.
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't be bad. But like with the Gambler's Chest stuff, I'm so stoked for the Campaigns of Death to come out with all that new content that it's like, oh, more campaigns, and because you keep talking about the Dragon King campaign, it's like, well, I love this system so much, I don't want to go back to the old stuff.
Yeah.
But with Campaigns of Death, from what you've been saying, it's like...
I would like to see that rekeyed.
Right, so now
it's
a Dragon King campaign is with this new system. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's exciting. I want to jump into that and try different builds and see all the new stuff that I haven't seen before. Yeah. And I think, I was at like a 4. I was so anti-KDM. I hated its system in so many ways that jumping into Gambler's Chest, I was like, why not? I don't have a monetary value tied to it, so that's not going to...
Yeah, you're not $2,500 deep.
Yeah, that's not going to bring me down. So if it sucks, then it's like, okay, I walk away, and I'm like, okay. But I'm like, man, I want to keep playing. Mm-hmm. So that's it. That's our thoughts on the Gambler's Chest, everyone. Let us know what you think of the expansion in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.